meeting is being recorded.
Hi there, everybody. This is a little conversation we're having with Venessa, our refugee friend. We met back, I think, at the end of January, near the end of January, and she landed in Flint, Michigan, which I'm from Michigan. So I'd like to have a little conversation with her about her Odyssey from Flint, Michigan, San Antonio, Texas, back to Flint, Michigan, and all of these things. Now, Vanessa, hi.
Hi, Shirley, how are you?
Good, thank you. Could we start with your arrival? What happened when you arrived quickly? Tell us.
I arrived on the 14th of January. It was a Wednesday. We had multiple delays due to the snow, so we arrived late. I had a caseworker that met me at the Bishop Airport. It was about after 9 in the evening, and I was told that we were going to go to a hotel. I was taken to the Wyndham Hotel in Flint, and it was, like a rush because it was late. I was put in there. She gave me a bag of, canned foods and a salad and something for the evening, and told me that she would come back the next day. And that was the first evening. So I was dead tired, as you would know, the traveling, all this and everything. So basically the second day she came back to me and completed the paperwork for the EAD, the Social Security, basically briefed me on what they were going to do. So the Friday was the weekend. She'd left and she said we'd be looking for apartments. We'd already scheduled appointments for going to Social Security that week after that. The Monday was a holiday. I think it was Martin Luther Day, which I did not see the caseworker. The only thing I did have a problem with, my cell phone was not working in America. So at this time I told her, we didn't know, it's not compatible. So I had no means of communication other than on a WhatsApp. I was trapped in a hotel. Basically, I couldn't move around because you're new to the environment. I didn't feel safe to go out, and it was snowing. And I also forgot to mention that on the Thursday, the day after arriving, I was taken to an outreach, crossover outreach, which is a nonprofit organization, where I was given a choice to choose some clothing because we came with clothing that was not suited to the snow. It was heavy snow. I was only allowed to take about 5 items, which consisted of a coat, 1 pants and 2, sweaters, you would call them, and a pair of shoes. I quickly realized that this was not, sufficient for when you're going outside. The caseworker didn't even, make any effort to explain, about layering and that kind of thing. So I very quickly learned the hard way. I got exposed to the snow, which caused some discomfort. As you would know, your shoes being wet, you don't know what to expect. So I didn't Google everything. And I'm sure one comes into a country and you don't always think about everything. So when it comes to that, I would say my experience in the first week was already an indication of which way things were going to go. That's how I can put it. Every time I asked a question or I tried to, find something, could you please assist me with this? I was told, no, we're dealing with it, that kind of thing. That didn't reassure me. So anyway, the week went by. The Wednesday we had the appointment. I was taken to Social Security. All the documents were done for the, and also to DHHS. They did this online for your food stamps. And taken to an apartment and then just told, okay, this is the apartment and we are going to be signing a 1-year lease here. And I was like, okay, are you sure this is what we're going to do? So, you basically have no choice. You sign the lease and this was done. So I was now in this apartment the Wednesday, the 21st.
Is the microphone on? Yeah.
Sorry.
So the Wednesday, the 21st, after being 7 days in a hotel, being placed into this apartment, I was actually shown a different apartment when I went to the viewing in this building. So when I was moved into a totally different apartment. There were issues in the apartment, which I was told that I would have to deal with maintenance. You get a number to call, you have to do this, you have to do that and everything. That same night, the Wednesday, we had a blizzard in Flint. It was extremely cold, and the heating system didn't work. So that's where my first problem started. Is I contacted her after hours and I let her know, look, I'm having a problem. These units are not working. And I was like told, in a way, I'm stupid or something. I don't know how to work this stuff. And I'm like explaining to the woman, look, it's not working. And I made such a big fuss. I was upset about this because she was adamant that everything was fine and everything was checked, which was not done. So later the next day, I had spoken to a friend in South Africa and I said, look, it's so cold. I don't know what to do. I don't have enough clothing to put on. I had only 2 small blankets and one of these fold up beds with a little mattress this thick. And she contacted you. And that's when I met you. And you actually took the initiative and called the caseworker and told her that if the complaints that I'm having are not being attended to, that I should be put back into a hotel. Well, that's basically what opened the whole can of worms because, as you know, the threats started coming, the attitude changed. I was, basically gaslit and told that, well, if you're not happy, this is the money that you got and this is what the government gives you. And I was not complaining about that. My complaint was about, you give me money on a card, which doesn't work. I'm trapped in an apartment, which I have no means to move out. I have not a single soul that I know. How do I do this when I keep asking you? I can't order the food. You don't take me anywhere because you're always in a rush. And ultimately, I never got an apology. On the Friday, it escalated to the point that she came in after hours with her husband and brought me a heater from Walmart and tried to tell me that, well, if I put the heating on this high, the bill is going to be so much. I'm like, I'm acclimatizing. I come from a country where it was hot. This is winter. It is incredibly cold. She wasn't having it. She was absolutely, she really had a really bad attitude and had no empathy whatsoever. Okay. And it was in that short period that the experience changed.
All right, Venessa, I am hearing that once I called your caseworker, things got worse. I'm not thinking I meant to do anything like that. I was just pointing up that you had an apartment that was so cold
yes.
that there was ice in the toilet.
Yes.
Didn't have proper footwear, and the bus station was
yes.
a mile away walk, correct?
And no shops in the vicinity. And when I questioned her, are you sure that this is a safe area to be placed in? It was also a case of she was using the excuse of privacy. And by that time, I'd already communicated with South Africans who are in Michigan. And this was not something that she wanted to hear because they wanted absolute control of the whole situation, everything that goes on, and not actually considering what you are trying to say to them, what your needs are. I had an issue with the food, dietary. I mean, I came into the country, I was healthy, I did a medical, everything. I ended up getting a bleeding ulcer as a result of the foods that I was given. The water, I was never supplied with water. I found out ex post facto that the water was not suitable for drinking from the taps, as everybody had filters on their taps. These apartments were not equipped with filters. So even when I questioned something as simple as that, I was given, a really rude answer. I can't deal with everything at all the time, and I can't help it. I can't control the weather. So my concern was that this particular caseworker was not suited for the position that she was placed in. I also communicated with the supervisor, and the sentiment was exactly the same. Nothing was dealt with. I was a problem.
Okay, then you and I, we hooked up on the phone, and I guess I called your agent and asked for you to get some heat or blankets or and it ended up that the remote that controlled the extra heating, the heating unit, but they call it a mini split.
Yes, split units, the batteries. The batteries to be replaced.
There were no batteries, so the batteries were dead in the mini split unit. But this was this is a kind of a remote apartment block that used to be a very, I would say, notorious slum
Yes.
and was being restored or redone by a real estate guy. But they happened to be friends with the agent, right? Your resettlement agent. Right?
Yes, the day that I went, when we had the appointment, the Wednesday, prior to my Social Security appointment, she'd scheduled the appointment to view the apartment and sign the lease. She'd had a telephonic conversation with the gentleman to come and, open the apartment. As I said, they couldn't find the key for the one that I was supposed to be put in. And they had a lengthy conversation while I was there about they didn't know what happened to Samaritas, and that they had previous tenants, their own tenants that had also left, vacated, and there was furniture that she was looking for to find out what was going on to put it in. So that brought me to the understanding that this is a relationship that's been, with Samaritas. This is where they place, refugees or whoever, and it's definitely got to do with money coming back. We'll get to that in the sense of that I got evicted. I got an eviction notice. My rent was fully paid. And when I tried to dialogue with the agent and ask, because it is a friend of hers, what can we do about this lease? Because I'm not happy, I'm not feeling safe, and I want to out-migrate. They told me, no, the lease can only be cancelled after 6 months, and none of this was on paper. I said, well, a verbal agreement is not actually going to make any difference, but I need to speak to the lady. I called her in front of the caseworker. She was quite perplexed when I called her, let's put it that way. I said, well, I'm a refugee. I do not have an income. I constantly hear that there's bills to be paid, and I've spent all the money. Those are the words that were told to me, and I have the physical paper which I requested, which was, you spent $2,850. I'm like, excuse me, I spent nothing. You spent the money. You put me in this apartment. The lease was $950. And a deposit and all this additional fees, which accumulated to all the money. So, and now I'm in this situation, and I'm being told that I'm being really stressed out because I'm asking questions and I don't know nothing about the program. At that time, I knew nothing about PC grants, the matching grant, or even what we're talking about, Section 8 housing, or that kind of thing. As I started to understand the different things, I started questioning the caseworker, and I got the idea it was kind of like it's top secret. You don't need to know. It's on a need-to-know basis. And then I was like, okay, something is wrong here. We are not being transparent with a lot of things. I'm being told to sign for, items and bills and stuff. So I said, well, if you're bringing me all this up, why is it so expensive? I asked a simple question. There are so many organizations and everything is available, but yet you have this need to spend all this money. And I can't live in this apartment. I can't see myself living here if I can't move around. I'm not equipped to do what needs to be done. I mean, after all, I'm a refugee. We need the minimum or the basic or just guidelines in what direction we're going. But without that, you literally locked me in an apartment and I couldn't move around. So I was trapped, and I nearly lost my mind.
I know you were quite full of anxiety when I started talking to you.
I didn't know what to expect. And then as we communicated, you and I, we heard about another refugee that was also in Michigan, Miss D. She was supposed to be in Detroit, and they ended up moving her into a hotel in Madison Heights. And she had a similar experience with caseworkers, locking her in a hotel, not taking care of her needs, and struggled with anxiety and a whole lot of, as a result of, not listening to what a person needs. So we got her to come to my place, and that's when we decided to do the out-migration. By then, I'd already told the caseworker. It's escalated beyond a point because they became, there was like this adversarial kind of attitude. It came as a showdown. The new refugees had arrived. We were kept to one side because it's as if we didn't want to contaminate. That's the impression I got. So anyway, Miss D and I decided we were going to go to San Antonio because we were told there would be like a different experience, or maybe an agency that we could, go as a second-hand refugee. So on the 17th of February, both of us were ready to leave. And that's when I informed them that we would be leaving. I signed my documents, and so did Miss D. She got her payout because she was only in a hotel and she hadn't taken an apartment. And that's when I got served the eviction notice for non-payment of rent. And months down the line, you will know, as you know, I got called to summons me for monies. So it was quite comical, let's put it that way.
Well, you arrived on January the 14th.
Yes.
And you left for Texas
The 7th February.
Okay. And just a day or two before you left, there was a big eviction notice on your door.
No, they didn't evict it on the door. They actually mailed it to me in my mailbox. I got it as a letter because the lady from the lady from the agent said she would get back to me on my inquiry about me leaving, out migrating. And she never did. What I got in return was a letter and told me and my party have been given an eviction notice and a letter of demand. And I have photos of the checks because the rent was paid, everything. I had all the evidence. So how can they evict you when your rent is paid?
Oh, my dear. Okay.
Anyway, Miss D and I went to San Antonio. We arrived 2 days later. We were received by a party that were to host us for a day or two until we could meet up with the refugee agent, which was Global Refuge. We did go very early on after arriving. I think we also arrived on a Wednesday. We went to go and see Global Refuge on a Thursday. And we were directly told we were second-hand refugees. They were going to apply for a matching grant, which was, I think, $2,000, if I'm not mistaken. And they were going to only assist us with an apartment and give us each $200 for food, for whatever we need. We stayed at the party's residence. I took the $200. I chose to remove myself and go and stay in a hotel for personal reasons. And that's when we waited for a week and a half and apartments were sourced for us. We were made to sign the leases. And at the time, it was Ramadan. Miss Nevin, the caseworker, was in a process of promotion. So I did not really have communication with anybody. I kept asking about a caseworker. So there wasn't really a caseworker assigned to me that I could communicate with. Okay. I had 2 numbers. And then the week after that, moved into the apartment. And then we were taken to the office. And I asked, could we know what we are going to do? Is there anything we can do? I had a problem with my EAD card in Michigan. The caseworker never gave me my EAD card. The caseworker, I will go back to that, was contacted when I came back to Flint and openly lied and said that she had completed a form and had mailed it to my new address, which is not possible for her to have done on the system because only I have access to my USCIS. I had changed my access information that she previously had. I came back to Flint and then I'd gone to that previous address and there was nothing in the mail. So once again, he lied.
Let's go into your decision to go back to Michigan. You didn't like San Antonio too much? What's going on there?
No, it's not that. There was no communication from the caseworkers and I was left in my apartment. I didn't have access to food or anything. I was given a bus pass. San Antonio is not that easy to move around and get food banks. The food is not always a variety. I had gone with one set of South Africans to a particular food bank, a big one, which was San Antonio Works. We got like a box of baby marrows, a bag of potatoes and onions. So that's what you're going to eat. The caseworkers never made any effort or gave us any means to be able to, at least assist us with that, to breach that. It was kind of like left on the South African group that was there. And I mean, they were big and not everybody always working together. So, I mean, that's how it just ended up.
Isn't it? And it's kind of a problem because a lot of the food banks in the South is car-based. You have to pull up in a car.
Everything is car-based.
Yeah, and I don't understand that. I've never seen that. In Connecticut, it doesn't work that way at all. You walk into a building and things are all set up. for you
Yes,
to
and
shop.
also the distance and the further you go in the amount of food as one person, an individual. I found that difficult as an individual because you don't have a family, you're not, and to just, click in with everybody, you can't just demand, you ask, and not everybody's always, capable of doing that thing. The other issue was the medicals. I'd already done my medicals in Flint when I was here. I'd gone for my vaccines. I've had my, everything done, blood work and everything. On arrival in San Antonio, the first thing that they did was book the appointments and you're going for medicals. I did go to the university medical center, explain to them that I have just done my medicals and I've just had a host of vaccines and I have, there should be medical records on your system. I was actually told that they don't always have it available between states, which I understood. I had to call. I called the one in Dearborn where I had attended, and they mailed me my records. Within 3-4 days, it arrived. I had the physical medical records to prove that I had all the vaccines that was required of us, but yet they still went ahead and insisted that I would have to take these vaccines. I refused. I only took the ones that were necessary. And I'd spoken to the nurse and the gentleman, I suppose it was also a nurse, not a doctor, that administered these. And I had no other issues or anything because I had my blood work done and there was no issues on the blood work. So I sent my medical records to them and my appointment was cancelled. I did not need a further appointment. 1 week later, I was called while I was going to a food bank with one of the South Africans en route back to the apartments by Nevin, the caseworker, who shouted at me and told me I had an attitude when I said, look, I do not have an appointment. My appointment was cancelled. I furnished my medical records. 3 days prior to that, I called her. She never answered the phone. I actually texted her and told her, look, this is regarding my medical records. She never got back to me. So this incident ensued on that day when I was supposed to have an attitude, and I was reprimanded and I was told the direct threat that you will not get your green card if you do not go for all these vaccines. And that's when I flipped it, Shirley. I literally flipped it. And I said, you know what? This is very rude of you. I'm in a vehicle talking on a phone with you. I'm trying to explain to you. I did communicate with you. You did not get back to me. So I assume you understood. And then I resent the screenshot of her same message and mine, which had the medical records. I never got an apology. It went silent. And that's when I decided, I'd gone to Department of Health and Human Services. I have the rejection letter to go and apply for medical and the food benefits, where I got the rejection and was told we do not qualify. In this time, I had already asked one of the caseworkers, the one that drove us to the medical, what about the medical? And said to us, you second-hand refugees don't qualify for medical. And that's when I found out afterwards that you told me it had to have gone through Global Refuge. They would have had to apply through the ORR. None of this was told to me. So there was no communication. I was once again in an apartment, sitting, waiting for I don't know what.
Yeah. So let me just say that in the state of Texas, singles or couples that do not have underage children in the household do not qualify for Medicare or Medicaid because it's based around the children. Only families. So what you need to do is get the refugee medical assistance through your agency, but that only lasts for 4 months. So yeah, it's rough. It's rough. Now, in my state of Connecticut, I know I've said this before, all of the single people with no children are getting Husky medical insurance for a whole year. Because the blue states, they tend to give a little more. That's true. That's true. Anyway, I want to talk about why you went back to Michigan. That's one of the reasons.
Let me show you. This is my rejection. And on grounds on this, I contacted the gentleman, one of the place workers. This was from Texas.
Okay.
And then I said to them, look, it was rejected. Now, I cannot stay in Texas if I don't have a medical. I needed teeth and I needed to have my glasses done. Other than that, I was healthy. So he asked me to send them the documents. I sent them the proof of everything. In the meantime, I was waiting for them to tell me, what can I do? You know, we need to do workshops. What do we need to do? They just kept telling me to sit and wait. So
Right.
I made the decision. I discussed it with you, and I told you, look, in all sense, I'd already spoken to a family in Flint, and they told me, look, it's better for you to come back. There are more resources available for you, and we can help you to get, you know, back on track. Because I had, after that incident, had enough of case workers who took advantage of their position of power, let's put it that way. Communication is a simple thing. It's a yes or a no, or just explain to somebody. You don't have to threaten. And that was the second threat I got, and that triggered me.
Yeah.
In the sense that I felt, hell, a parole officer, I told her, you're not my parole officer. That's how I felt. I'm not
Well, you had your medicals and your vaccinations done in Michigan, and for some reason that wasn't getting through, that you didn't need to do this again. The truth is that if you do not have these medicals done with the required vaccines when it comes time for your green card, that's a problem, right?
Mhm.
So there is some truth to what she's saying, honestly. But let's talk about going back to Michigan and how things are not what they always seem to be.
Okay, so then based on that and all the, you know, looking at all the different work opportunities, I did a lot of research. There was a lot of language. You know, most of the positions required you to have a second language, Spanish.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I was not comfortable with that, you know, with staying in that apartment and with that whole scenario there, and not everybody working together. There was a lot of, you know, fighting and atmosphere. And then obviously I took the opportunity with an invitation, and I, with your help, I came back to Flint. I came back with a train, and I never looked back after that. I ended up going through 3 weeks of homelessness in America. Well, things didn't turn out the way one expected, and I would say to people, caution, be careful, you know. Just go through it. But then again, it's a situation anybody can go through. You are
Right.
tense, stressed. You've just come from one situation that has pushed you and triggered you, and you're not thinking 100% in the sense of you just need to find a space. And I always knew before I even left Flint the first time, I needed to connect with the churches, you know, to find communities, you know, places of safety, and to join, you know, with Americans, and not just, you know, case workers, that kind of thing, because they are 5 minutes in your life and they're out and you're left to yourself. And that felt to me that there was no real empowering a person. I asked many questions. I'm going back to that. I asked about, how do I get to the food banks? Can you take me to the churches? I found that these people had no interest in it, yet they are Americans and they know these resources are available. It was always a mention of time, or it takes too long, which I found out was a lie. It's not true. The food banks in Michigan do not have queues that stand down the line. You can go to any church at any time, every single day of the week. There is one. These people are incredible in Michigan. They go above and beyond. So that was, to me, the more I found out that the resources that are available here, the more I was angry in a sense of disappointed that this is how they kept you in the dark. Literally, it's like keeping you in the dark.
Well, let me just clarify, because maybe people don't understand. You had an invitation to go back to Michigan by a family or a man who was head of some sort of church organization, and things were not quite what they seemed. And when you went back to Michigan, I was required to get you an Uber because they didn't pick you up.
Yes, I ended up coming to Dead Man's Door. I landed and nobody answered the phone, and they knew I was coming. So I sat at the Amtrak at 11 o'clock in the night, stranded, and Shelley came to the rescue. And you put me in a hotel, and then I think at 3 o'clock in the morning, I managed to get a hold of them, and they had conveniently forgotten. And well, anyway, they took me, and from there, I just didn't feel that I could stay. That it was a bit chaotic. It was just not what I was expecting, in a sense of what was said and where I was put. So
yes, but you weren't on the street, but you were not homeless on the street.
no, technically homeless in the sense of that I was between nowhere and nowhere. You know, I was there.
Yeah.
It was either there or go to the street, whatever. So I made work of it, and I said I needed to contact. I already had a list in my mind. Catholic charities. The gentleman also mentioned to me St. Mary's Mission, which is also in the east side. And I met Sister Christina, who is a sister at the St. Mary's Mission,
Catholic
and from
Church.
from the Catholic Church. And she was amazing. She helped me. She took me, drove me, took me to go and see all the different places that I needed to go to get assistance, for toiletries, anything I needed. That's while I was staying with the man's wife, who was separated in her apartment. I slept on a couch for 3 weeks. This was a temporary situation until we could find, accommodation for me. Mm-hmm. By that time, I'd gone regularly. I volunteered at the church. I got involved in the community, and they got to know me. And within a very short time, 3 weeks, they accommodated me, put me in a house, a very decent place that I'm staying in. I was given opportunity to do at St. Luke's New Life Center, which is an amazing place in Flint. They offer programs where they preparing you for work. There are counselors. I was helped to get a driver's license. I was helped to get a Michigan ID because I did not have an EAD, which was a problem. And problems were solved in that sense. In the time that I left Flint, my cash assistance and my EBT was cancelled. And when I got back, it was reinstated. I had a caseworker that came from DHHS at the St. Luke's, and she was amazing. She helped me. I had no resistance from anybody in this town, whether it was from the government or from any organization. The only resistance I had was from Samaritas and the caseworker and the supervisor. And at one stage, they sent a gentleman to come and see me, to try and complace me, to tell me, if we fix anything, can you stay? And I said, no, I'm sorry. Once you break someone's trust, it's very hard to go back,
So you're singing the praises of the community of Flint. Yes. Now, Flint is a place I wouldn't have dreamed that they'd put South African refugees. I don't want to say anything bad about Flint, but I was born and raised in Detroit and around Detroit. And Flint doesn't have a very good reputation. And it had a terrible water crisis. 10 years ago? People were getting sick, and the city water was not being properly taken care of. And I guess they're still having problems there. But this is about these amazing opportunities and charities still existing in Flint. And honestly, I think the whole Midwest still has wonderful infrastructure of charities in these cities that you're placed at. And usually, you must understand, these charities, they are sitting there in the background doing this hard work of trying to help people who have gotten out of prison. Yes. People who are on drugs, people who are alcoholics, women who are battered and having need for safety. Yes. There are all kinds of things these charities do, and they're unsung heroes. They really are. And Venessa, you just got to know people. You showed up. You showed up at church. You showed up at the meetings, the lunches.
The women's groups, whatever I could find, I joined, because I felt that you're not going to get it on Facebook. You're not going to get it on social media. And one door opens another door. Somebody speaks to you and asks you a question. They ask you, do you need anything? And you might have a need of something, and you'd be surprised. The one connected the other. And I have a whole network of people around me. I mean, I got given a car.
All right, let's see your car, Venessa.
Oh, I must take you outside and go show you. I'll take you. Let me see. Then we'll show you the car.
You'll but I want to
in a minute. I'm going to show you first. I have a file that I accumulated from all the resources that was given to me from all these organizations. We got St. Luke's, which is a Kickstarter new job with a new life, where they actually help everybody. I think it's important that if people are in Michigan, and then there's Michigan Works as well, because that helps you with your resume. There are programs that you can do. You can educate yourself in the time that you're waiting. There's a whole host of things. And Mott Community College, which is also a lot of resources. They also have free resources, which you get paid while you are training. And none of these caseworkers ever mentioned that. This is here. They do know that it's here. But as you mentioned, the nonprofits that are here doing all the hard work, not getting paid by external, forces to do the work, are actually doing the work. And they should get the credit for that, because that's really what they're doing, going above and beyond. And if it wasn't for
and they're unsung heroes, especially, I would say, the network of Catholic charities all around the country. They have been working hard in these charitable functions, since the country started, almost, I suppose.
Yes.
And they really don't want you. They want you to improve your life. They want to help you with your problems, and you wouldn't get resistance from them.
No, they don't want you to fail. They are out about helping you at whatever pace you are at. And I found it rather refreshing coming here. And as I said to you, it was a crisis for me. The first 2 months really put me in a flat spin. Mentally and emotionally, I felt at one point I went total radio silence. I couldn't communicate with people because I was dealing with all of this. The trauma from South Africa, having a child still in South Africa, and not knowing where you're going to go. Nothing is sure. You don't even know what you're going to do. Everybody's giving you advice as South Africans. I would say don't take advice from South Africans who are not in the situation, unless you've really walked the path, gone down the road. It's not your business to advise people what to do, but I'm telling you where the resources are, what you can do, and the only way to move forward is to connect with Americans. And it's going to take a bit of work. Yeah. Join the groups, do the work, speak to people, and they genuinely care. Nobody's going to, snub you or have any kind of untoward feeling. We have that from South Africa. We've been conditioned with many things, but here people genuinely want to help you. And it's a humbling experience.
I believe, I'm from the Midwest. I'm from that area. Some of my people go back to 1800 or something like that. In fact, right above Flint, the town above Flint, Mount Morris. But I'm prejudiced, but the Midwestern people are the best people in the country. Did I say that? Oh.
I tell you what, I have observed the way people are, because I've been in many institutions now, just the way that people, colleagues, co-workers talk to each other. It is a totally different experience. People have got no attitudes here. It's a genuine, refreshing to see how people are when they speak. You can see it's genuine. I mean, there's no undertones. There's no narcissism. I've never really had any bad experience when I've been anywhere with anybody. People are willing to help you, to go out of their way. So that's why I said, if we can just, fit in somewhere, find a spot, and you're going to be fine.
Okay, now a person anonymously donated to you a car.
Yes.
Probably because they spoke to you and you spoke to them and told them your story, maybe. And you were you were rubbing elbows with just the people all the time. Yes. You didn't ask for a car. Correct, Vanessa?
No. I was blown away because everybody was saying to me, well, you do need a car. And I'm like, yes, I know I do, but, that will come in time. That was totally a week after I entered the church and met with these people. I was already told by the 11th, just after Easter, the sister came to me and said to me, you know what, somebody donated a car for you. And I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. Believe it. Then obviously they helped me. I went through the system, got the learners, did the drivers, and I actually got the car on Friday. It's in my name, did the insurance, I did the plates, I did everything. So I know how the process goes now.
Okay, we're so happy for you.
Thank you. I'll show you now.
Okay, show us now.
Let me take you. I'm going to go outside. And thankfully the rain has stopped a bit from the heat wave. All right, let's go. I'm going to have to show you with this laptop camera. Let's see. All right, here we go. Okay. So you must tell me if you can see.
Oh, wow. That's
All
nice. It's a Chevy.
Yes. I'm not walking too fast.
Oh, what a nice little car, Vanessa. Oh, we're
Yes.
so happy. Yeah, that's great. And of course, I think I see a little spot of rust, but honestly, people, Michigan is
Yeah, it's only on the bottom there. That's the only part. Nothing else.
Yeah,
Other than that,
you will not escape your vehicle getting rusted in Michigan unless you bring it in the garage and spray it off every time you go out in the snow because they put down so much salt on the road.
yeah, that's true. But other than that, the vehicle is very well maintained. And it's like I said, you change your perspective on life when you come here and you go through these things, and then you join all these communities and you meet these incredible people, not only the ones that volunteer, but also the ones that are going through because I mean, you're attending classes where there's people that have come out of prison, have been on substances, and you learn so much. I think we never have to stop learning. And that I can say opened my mind to many things. And I enjoy also volunteering in the community as well.
And I think you wanted to talk about trusting people, how that might be an issue for South Africans.
When it comes to trusting the wrong people, well, I would say one has to be very careful. If you're in a community like I got into, the community itself is, how can I say, protected in a way, because you know that those that are in this community are safe to be around with, and they all communicate with each other. It's a network of people. Mm-hmm. But if you're on the outside of this network and you start seeing things for what they are, it's like in any country. You have to be very careful if you're in the wrong. I mean, there's substance abuse. There's all kinds of things going on. Flint does have a problem with that. You know, people use it for recreation and that kind of thing. So I would say, choose your friends wisely.
Yes, I would say that too. Absolutely. Now, integrate into America, you're doing it, and it's working out.
Yes, it is, definitely, because there's so much opportunity for growth. I've got a job already that I've been doing for a month. As I told you, I have a minimum requirement from DHHS also for me to get my EBT is after a period of time you have to have either a part-time job or something. I take care of a lady that's in a wheelchair. That's only a few hours a month, but that gets to pay my car insurance and my things that I need to pay. Mm-hmm. And now I can focus on going to night school. I graduate on Wednesday from the St. Luke's program, which was 11 weeks of attendance. And that's where I learned the most of everything. St. Luke's does sewing. They teach women to sew. They've got programs for men. They're opening the new thing, which was closed in the lockdown, the building. So they teach people skills. St. Luke's is amazing. Sister Carol runs St. Luke. She's a phenomenal woman. She really has a vision, and it's like where people had they got nowhere else to go. They got nothing left in life. They take those individuals and pick them up and just change it 100%. And the people that have gone through the program end up working there. So I ended up meeting people who came as speakers, who are running successful businesses today. They have gone through these programs. And everything I experienced didn't cost me a cent.
Wow, that's excellent.
All the education I got, all the counseling I got, all the training I got, all the clothing I got, absolutely everything I have, I never spent a cent. It was gifted to me. So anybody can stand in that position if they just, not lock themselves in and expect that either a caseworker or an agency is going to do that for you. I haven't heard of that. Maybe there are some agents that have gone above and beyond and have, some refugees have also got vehicles in certain states, I do know, got gifted. But as I would say, those that are in Flint or in Michigan know that there are resources here. And resources don't mean money, that people give you money. They're not always going to give you the money that you need, but what you need to succeed, they will make it happen for you.
Okay, now this is about abundance and the opportunities.
Yes.
And you've pretty much explained how there is an abundance of training programs and free help. And I didn't know that they still did that. They'll put you on a training course for what was it, EKG that you just showed there?
I've got these. This was some that I took. It's an EKG technician.
Yes.
They tell you get between $17 to $40 an hour. That's what you would get as a rate when you do these courses. And it doesn't cost you anything. They train you. My college trains you for this. So there's a whole, people just need to go down there and go and have a look and just pick up the brochures and have a look at the stuff. Because in Michigan or in Flint, they want you to work. They want you to be educated. They want to empower you. So however long it takes you to do these courses, you get your gas money if you need that, or it's not a case of you're going to scrape by just to get it done. The systems are in place here. That's why I knew when I came back that I had to make it work. I was going to face the dragon and just, not let it slay me. And I'm slaying the dragon now. So
awesome. Is that Michigan Works that you mentioned?
This is Mott Community College.
Mott Community College. But
yes.
You also told me about Michigan Works, which is a state program to get people trained and working, correct?
They also offer, this is like you can do certified nursing assistant at Mott. Yep. Michigan Works has got many programs also. I went there to do my resume. The caseworkers tried to do their things internally, which didn't work because sometimes the people don't speak English. How do they literally do your resume for you in a professional manner? Where Michigan Works is there, they've got incredible people there. You go there, you can get certificates for everything that you've done, like Microsoft. You can go spend hours there. It's free. They do your resume for you very professionally and tell you exactly what works. So all you need to do is just attend.
Oh, excellent, Venessa. Now, I think we've caught up on all we've touched. We could speak for hours more, believe me. Yes, about all the little details of your fantastic voyage over here. But I think we've touched on all the basic things that happened to you. And I would call this a success story because of your tenacity to get things done and find out where to get help and not be afraid to just get out there. Yes. And that's what my suggestion would be to anyone. And now remember, your results will vary because where you're placed around the country, each area is very different. I believe that the East and the Midwest in the North have the most resources. That's just a theory of mine. Don't nail me down to that. But anyway, this is about tenacity and not taking no for an answer, right?
You've got to be resilient. Sometimes you knock on one door and it's a maybe. That doesn't mean you've got to take it as a no. If you're persistent, not arrogant, I'm talking persistent in the sense of you know what your goals are. You need to know why you came to America. You have to understand why you came here in the first place. And then you start laying the ground for what you want to do, where you want to go, what direction. You're not going to have it all done in 1 month or 2 months or 3 months. There's no time frame on it. But you have to have a clear, indication of what it is you want to do. And by mixing with different people, you get to see the different things. And then you can, decide afterwards, not in a hurry. You don't have to just walk into a Walmart and go be a cashier or anything. I'm trying to tell you is that you have options. I felt, having come from my country, having done that kind of work for so many years, it's not something I would have wanted to do at my age. I'm not young anymore. But it's not about beggars can't be choosers. There are many other options and alternatives. If you just open and look for them, you'll find something that's comfortable for you. We could talk on another interview. I could, go with you on, give you examples of where to look for the jobs, what kind of jobs, where mothers that are single that have children, how they can navigate around the system. So I have a lot of research that I've done and with people. So this is something, if the fellow refugees require something like it, we could maybe, take it into another avenue.
I would love that. And I think that you and I have been talking for long enough. And I want to tell people that you notice Venessa looks very clear and very good and very well. And when you look at my picture, it looks like it was from 200 years ago or something. Everything's all yellow and I look kind of dead. So I'm going out to get a new laptop because there's something wrong with my speaker and my camera. So I need a new, but I wanted to bring you all this story as a story of
Hope.
Yeah, about and about getting things done and getting what you need to get. And I thank you, Venessa, for this talk.
It's a pleasure. We cannot live without building dreams, and no matter where we come from, you should give yourself the permission to live, and everything will work out. You've got to have faith. I mean, it's what the sister tells me. God's got your back.
Yeah, it's a good message. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. We'll see you later.
Okay.
See you next time.
Thank you. You too. Have a blessed day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.